Good evening and welcome to the Wax House of Jack the Ripper. Inside we will find the wax figurines of the most notorious serial killers of our time. They were ruthless, twisted murderers whose crimes chilled the nation. Let's go inside and have a closer look and see what made them the monsters of their time. Theodore Robert Bundy, Ted Bundy, an American serial killer that kidnapped, raped, and murdered numerous young women. His killing spree spawned across 7 states, would often fake injuries to gain the trust of his victims. It is thought that he has killed more than 100 ladies. Was captured and executed on January 24th, 1989. Ed Gein of Plainfield, Wisconsin, was an American murderer and body snatcher. His gruesome crimes were said to be the work of the devil. Kept keepsake body parts of human bones and skin, made waste baskets out of human skin and bowls from human skulls, inspired movies Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. Gein was committed to a psychiatric facility and died at the age of 77. Eileen Wuornos, this serial killer, engaged in street prostitution along the Florida highways. She shot dead and robbed 7 of her male clients, all which occurred in a 12-month period. She was executed by lethal injection on October 9th, 2002. She was labeled a monster. Dr. Henry Howard Holmes, also known as H.H. Holmes, was an American con artist and serial killer. Worked as a physician and a former drugstore employee. He opened a hotel known as the Murder Castle. It featured torture chambers, trap doors, gas chambers, and a basement crematorium. Lured most of his victims to his hotel during the state fair season, was convicted and hung on May 7th, 1896. Jeffrey Dahmer, known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. This serial killer committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991, preserved most of his body parts in his refrigerator, was sentenced to 941 years in prison. He was beaten to death by a fellow inmate on November 28, 1994. Richard Ramirez, labeled the Night Stalker, was a serial rapist, kidnapper, burglar, and Satanist whose crime spree took place in Southern California between June 1984 and August 1985. He was beaten on the streets by local citizens who recognized him. He was given the death sentence in 1989, but died in prison of complications of B-cell lymphoma. John Wayne Gacy, this serial killer assaulted and murdered 33 young men and boys. The bodies were found underneath the crawl space of his home. He often performed at children's hospitals and charitable events as Pogo the Clown. This killer clown was executed for his crimes on May 10th, 1994 at the age of 52. Dennis Rader, the American serial killer known as B. torture, kill. Murdered 10 people in the Wichita and Park City, Kansas area. Sent taunting letters to police and newspapers describing the details of his crimes. Was finally captured when a floppy disk traced back to his church, where he served as president of the congregation. He was arrested in February 2005 and is currently serving 10 consecutive life terms. David Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam, terrorized New Yorkers back in the late 1970s, murdering 6 people and injuring several others. Claims to have received orders to kill from a neighbor's dog. Is currently serving 6 life sentences. And our last one for the evening, Charles Manson and his murderous quasi-hippie family terrorized Los Angeles with a series of 9 murders back in 1969. His homicidal campaign was called Helter Skelter. He was sentenced to death, but California abolished the death penalty. Manson died in prison on November 19, 2017. Well, that concludes the horrors found in Jack the Ripper's wax house. I hope you all enjoyed. Good night.